Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Very glad you're here. Very good to see you. And thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome to this comfy, quiet, cozy little corner of the internet where we do a little drinking and a little thinking. So come join me if you will. I'd be very honored if you would. And hopefully, we learned something today that we didn't know yesterday. Um, I got the old trusty Earl Grey. Um, Even on this hot night, it is 100 degrees today, I tell you. Hot. But cold, ice cold Earl Grey. It just fixes everything. Let me tell you, everything. But maybe you don't have ice cold Earl Grey. I mean, that's okay. Drink whatever you want. I'm not gonna judge. All I'm gonna do is point out that this thing is freaking refreshing, and you should try it. Anyway, um, as you all probably may know, or hopefully you know by now, there's a baby formula shortage, and it's really sad, just sad stuff. Moms having trouble finding formula for their kids, little babies going hungry, and it's crazy. I mean, it's shortages in America. Whoever would have thought that would have happened? I mean, when I was a kid, teenager, a young guy, I mean, never in my wildest dreams. I mean, and Americans too, none of us ever would have thought that America would be facing shortages of anything. I mean, it was just, there was stuff everywhere. There was always stuff everywhere. So, naturally, curious minds, we gotta ask, what happened? What's going on here? And there's a lot of finger pointing, of course, but, is it true? Is the finger pointed at the right problem? Well, let's find out. I found this awesome article, courtesy of MarketWatch.com, and the author's name is Kevin Kettles. And let's see, it's in the opinion section, but let's not be discouraged here. A lot of opinion can be based in fact. So yeah, all I ask is that you give it a fair shot, and I think you might find it enlightening. So, and I mean honestly, we don't want to be closed-minded, right? We want to entertain other opinions. You don't have to agree with them, right? Just means that maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. We don't know, but if we don't listen, we'll never grow. We'll never be exposed to new ideas. We'll stagnate. Bad things will happen. So, yeah, come on, guys. If, like I said, new opinions, new ideas, it's good stuff, right? Good stuff. Anyway, like I said, this comes courtesy of MarketWatch.com, the title of which reads, Baby Formula Industry was primed for disaster long before key factory closed down. And yeah, there's kind of a little hint there in the title about a key factory, right? But that's not the only thing, all right? So don't think you can just skip out and be like, oh, a factory closed down. Bye. No, wait. There's more. There's a lot more. So, yeah, I will link it below in the comments if you want to check it out for yourself. Or you can stick around and listen to the sound of my enthusiastic and encouraging voice as I read it to you.
We are screwed.
Hey, I don't want to hear that defeatist attitude. I want to hear you upbeat.
We are screwed.
There you go.
All right, baby formula shortage article, and it reads a little something like this. Government granted monopolies, safety concerns, supply chain problems, and profit maximizing behavior contributed to shortages of this essential food for infants. The conditions that led to a shortage of baby formula were set in motion long before the February 2022 closure of the Similac factory tipped the U.S. into a crisis. Retailers nationwide reported supplies of baby formula were out of stock at a rate of 43% during the week ended May 8, 2022, compared with less than 5% in the first half of 2021. In some states, such as Texas and Tennessee, shortages were over 50%, which has prompted parents to travel long distances and pay exorbitant sums of money to grab dwindling supplies of formula for their babies. News that the Food and Drug Administration and Similac maker Abbott have reached a deal to reopen the formula factory in Sturgis, Michigan, is welcome news for desperate parents, but it will do little to alleviate the shortage anytime soon. This is in no small part because of the very nature of America's baby formula industry. I research and teach supply chain management with a special focus on the healthcare industry. The closure of the Similac factory may have lit the fuse for the nationwide shortage, but a combination of government policy, industry market concentration, and supply chain issues supplied the powder. What prompted the baby formula shortage? On February 17, Abbott initiated a voluntary recall after 4 infants were hospitalized with infections from the bacteria Chronobacter sakazaki. 2 of them died after consuming baby formula manufactured in their Sturgis facility. The factory was also shut down. The FDA has identified no new cases but has not yet approved reopening the Sturgis facility, which is responsible for about half of Abbott's U.S. supply. Abbott said it entered into a consent decree with the FDA that paves the way to reopen the facility once certain conditions are met. Shortages of baby formula have led major U.S. retailers, including Target, CVS, Walgreens, and Kroger, to restrict the amount of formula a consumer may purchase. These shortages are disproportionately hurting low-income families and those who do not have the resources to travel long distances to find alternative sources of baby formula. The root of the problem begins with a concentration of production. 2 companies, Abbott and Reckitt Benckiser, Kaiser? I'm not sure. Help me out in the comments. Which makes Enfamil, dominate the industry with about 80% of the U.S. market. Nestle, which sells baby formula in the U.S. under its Gerber brand, controls another 10%. Part of the reason these companies are so entrenched in their position is that Abbott, Reckitt, and Nestle are the only makers approved by the U.S. government to provide baby formula through the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, known as WIC, which provides supplemental food to low-income families. WIC, which reimburses companies at 15% of the wholesale cost, is responsible for 92% of supermarket sales of milk-based powder formula in 12 to 16 ounce containers and 51% of all sales in other sizes. The federal government provides WIC grants to each state, which then contracts with one of the 3 companies. While WIC is a critical program to feed the most vulnerable, government support of this program has the unintended consequence of creating a de facto monopoly in each state. The amount of WIC funding to these 3 established companies makes it difficult for any startup to make significant inroads in the baby formula industry. There is little chance they can capture the market share necessary to justify a significant investment. Since only a handful of manufacturing facilities are approved for production of baby formula in the U.S., startups don't have the volume required to produce in these facilities. Import restrictions. Another reason for the intense concentration is import controls. About 98% of the formula consumed in the U.S. is produced domestically, whether by a U.S. or international company, while facilities abroad such as those in Mexico, Chile, Ireland, and the Netherlands meet the FDA's nutrition standards. A failure to meet its labeling guidelines prevents them from exporting to the U.S. As a result, some consumers order unapproved formula over the internet from Europe and elsewhere, which may then be confiscated at the border. International manufacturers also face high tariffs, which can be as high as 17.5%, depending on volume. That's one reason Canadian producers, which are subsidized by their government, have mostly steered clear of the U.S. market, and the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, which came into force in 2020, included a provision that made it even harder for Canada to ship baby formula south in an effort to protect domestic producers. Lean supply chains. The pandemic-related problems that have beleaguered global supply chains have also played a role. Like in other industries, baby formula makers have long tried to make their supply chains as, quote, lean and efficient as possible. That means they aimed to minimize the amount of time baby formula spent sitting, unprofitably, on warehouse shelves and send the goods from factory to retailer as quickly as possible. The problem is that when there's a surge in demand or a drop in supply, shortages can result. The leaner the supply chain, the larger the potential disruption. The WIC program also encourages a lean supply chain because it reimburses just 15% of the wholesale price. The huge volume means the companies can still be profitable, but the lower margins per sale encourage them to keep a very efficient supply chain. In March 2020, formula sales surged as people stockpiled pretty much everything. But that led sales to drop as parents worked through all that extra formula. That prompted makers to reduce production, and now, in 2022, demand jumped again, especially after reports spread of the Similac recall. And with demand soaring and supply down significantly because of the Sturgis plant's closure, shortages were inevitable. Shortage is far from over. Both the Biden administration and companies have announced a variety of measures to end the shortage. Some companies, such as Reckitt, say they have stepped up production and are running factories 7 days a week to get more formula to stores. The FDA is expected to soon announce the loosening of import rules for baby formula, and some states are allowing WIC recipients to use their rebates to buy formula from companies other than the one on the contract. Abbott has already agreed to honor rebates for competitor products in states where they have WIC contracts. Abbott and Nestle are also speeding up shipments from their FDA-approved facilities overseas. The best way to end the shortage, getting the Sturgis plant online and its formula on retail shelves, will take 2 months. Ultimately, preventing this kind of situation from happening again will require changes to government policy and business practices. I believe the government's de facto monopolies should be opened up to more competition, and formula makers may just have to accept a little less profit from supply chain efficiencies as a cost of doing business, and as a way to ensure families won't again be faced with the loss of a product so vital to their baby's survival. And there you have it. The United States government strikes again. With its rules, its regulations, taxes, fees, fines, all this stuff. And lo and behold, we have shortages. This one in particular is baby formula, but it's the same stuff almost every time. And as the author pointed out, to summarize, one of the factories closed. In a healthy, competitive environment, that wouldn't be such a big hit. But because they're the only ones really authorized via WIC and the FDA and the numerous rules and regulations to bring food to market or even just start up a business, right? These guys really don't have a lot of competition because it's hard to start up a company, right? And big companies love that. Big companies love taxes. Big companies love regulations and import restrictions because it insulates them from competition, right? If I can start a business and have nobody compete with me, well, heck, that's a great business model, right? And that's exactly what happened with these formula makers, right? They got import restrictions. He cited the North American-Mexico treaty thing that was in 2020. It made it harder to import formula. WIC, he brought up WIC, right? That gives them a leg up on people trying to start a business or whatever and sell formula. So what I'm saying is, there's so many rules, so many regulations, this just all came apart. And like I said, if this was a healthy, free market, a single plant closure wouldn't have done this to us. But, once again, we live in a big, bloated, bureaucratic, overbearing government, society, country. This is what happens. We shouldn't expect anything else, honestly. So, yeah, and I know a lot of people on the left, I've seen them, they're on the Twitter and the whatever, the Facebook, and, trying to say this is capitalism, this is greedy corporations, the man, robber barons. Guys, this is not a free market We don't remotely, we don't even live in anything close to a free market, guys. There is government everywhere, right? You can't even start a lemonade stand now without a permit, or the cops will show up and shut you down. Yeah. So don't tell me that we live in a free market, or this is capitalism or whatever. This is completely government, right? The government restricted imports. The government makes all these crazy rules and regulations and laws and fees and taxes, often at the behest of these companies, so that they can get a leg up on their competition, right? Because if I'm a big fat company and I can get rules that make it hard for people to start up, right? That means I'm protected, right? That's protection money. Think about it, guys. Come on, lefties, come on. It's not that hard, all right? This isn't capitalism. Don't say it's capitalism. It's not. It's government. We can call it communism, socialism, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it seems like every day you guys are changing names for everything. I mean, at this point, we're calling cats dogs, we're calling men women. I don't even know anymore, but it's always the same stuff, right? It always means the same thing, but they just change the name. Who knows? 2 days from now, they're going to call it peopleism, or shareism, or world peaceism, or whatever. And it's the same stuff. It's always the same stuff. Big government telling us what to do, stifling competition, and enabling large, giant companies to do this to us. It's horrible. It's, in my opinion, it's wrong, right? It's just straight up wrong. Shouldn't have that kind of power. But anyway, that's enough rambling for tonight. I hope you found that informative. And yeah, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Is there a big baby formula shortage where you're at? Not only baby formula, I mean just stuff. Seems like there's a lot of stuff missing these days. A lot of empty shelves. Like I said, everywhere. It's crazy. I never in my wildest dreams would I ever have imagined that there would be shortages in America. Literally ever. I mean, it's just baffling. It's mind-blowing and pretty depressing, honestly. But yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's any government policies or procedures or whatevers that you think is also affecting the baby formula, I'd love to know. Or heck, maybe you think I'm crazy. Maybe you think it is the big evil corporations and the government is full of perfect little angels who don't take that money from the big evil corporations. They're just angels. They're perfect. They're wonderful. They don't take money. Their pockets are clean. I mean, hey, you can think that, right? Anyway, that said, I hope you have a wonderful week. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I wish the best for you. I hope good things for you this week. I just hope it all works out. And yeah, if it's not, don't try to do it alone. All right. Reach out, get some help. Trust me, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier with people around. All right. Doing it yourself sucks. So, and if you're doing well, great. Happy for you. But please, please remember those little people. All right. They need some help. You should help them. It's going to make you feel good. You're going to be a good person. It's good. All around goodness, all right? So anyway, with that said, I think that's about it. So, yeah. Take care, everyone. Good night.